Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks podcast presented by Goose Island, the official beer of CHGO. Find one of their Chicago locations at gooseisland.com/locations. The 2023 NHL Draft is officially over. It's over.
Done.
Rounds 2 through 7 flew by today. We were trying to calculate what we might be on. It's like, oh my God, we're already in the 5th round.
I know last night we were like, oh, the show might start around 4 or 5 o'clock. We'll see. It was 1:30. We're like, we're done.
Yeah.
Let's get out of here.
It was crazy.
And then they didn't let us out.
Especially that second round. I couldn't even catch my breath. I was down we kind of split duties. And some stayed on the media riser, and I went down to handle like the pod interviews. And a new pick came out. I go, I don't know who this pick is. I don't know who this draft pick is. There's a kid, and he's in a Hawks jersey, and he's smiling and happy. And who is this? Oh, that's Nick Lardis. Okay, cool. And what does he do? Great. And I find this information out as the kid is talking. That's how chaotic it was. And you got the Corey Perry trade and the Josh Bailey buyout. We're going to get to all of it. There is a ton to get to.
Yeah, I know we've got some experienced pros on the Blackhawks beat, but I don't know how you handle that as one person.
Oh,
we had a 5-person crew covering this, and it felt overwhelming at moments.
I will say, it did not help that there was basically no internet.
Yeah, the
Wi-Fi was just a hamster wheel.
In the 26 years there, David Poyle never figured out how to get good Wi-Fi in the Predators, and I don't know why we're saluting him.
Yeah, at one point, 2 different Chicago Blackhawks players were drafted before I could download a photo of either one of them.
Yeah, it was crazy. Not great, and it wasn't. I mean, I understand things like that are going to happen when you have a million people trying to do it, but figure it out through 2 days, please.
Yeah, well, they put the
second-rate franchise, Nashville Predators.
They put the router in there. What do you call it? Like the Ethernet boxes.
Yeah, so you can hardwire in, but no laptop built in the last 6 years has a slot for one of those things. The guy came around while you were down, and they asked, "Hey, how's the internet?" We're like,
bad.
You want to hardwire in? I can get you a cable. I'll go, where am I going to plug that on my computer?
Right.
My computer is not from 1997.
No.
Well, let's start with we're going to get to Corey Perry. We're going to get to the Josh Bailey situation and some of the other news that Kyle Davidson made after the draft wrapped up today, as literal horrible weather was ripping through. You said it when we started the show. There was a period there where the draft was over, but we couldn't leave because the weather was so bad. And we walked outside, Greg and I, to get the car, and you could see all the mulch from the landscaping was in the street. It was bad. We could hear the thunder from there. But I think the best way to start is with Mike Donahue, the Blackhawks director of amateur scouting. He was initially asked about Marcel, my new favorite Blackhawk.
Besides Connor Bedard, he's my favorite pick of this draft.
Yes. And he kind of just gave us 4 or 5 solid minutes on the entire draft class. So instead of hearing from our dumbasses, let's hear from the man in charge of making these picks. Here is Mike Donahue after the draft concluded.
Well, we saw Marcel a lot, because he played in Gatineau with Sam Savoy. So when development was there, or our Quebec League scouts were there, I would always get a text on Marcel. He's a bigger guy. He's a bigger kid. He's 6'4", almost 6'5", 240 pounds. But he gets around the ice really well. He played in the World Juniors. He's very successful there as a winger. And so he fits our profile, and he brings some size to the table.
Can you run through everyone? I hate that. You have a note there, though.
I do. Do I got to run through the first round?
No.
Okay. I think you guys know those guys. Adam Gajan kind of had his coming out party at the World Juniors. Some will say single-handedly carried Slovakia to where they were. Dan Ellis did a tremendous job being in touch with his agency and knowing his path and getting in to see him play. So his path is he'll go to Green Bay next year in the USHL, and then he'll go to Minnesota Duluth from there, and then we'll take it year by year. But the thought being behind going to the USHL is he'll play 55, 60 games as a goalie, and that's really valuable. Kantserov, I know Kyle said we had an excellent meeting with him on Tuesday. 26, 28 goals in the MHL. He's one of the top scorers in that league. He can flat out shoot it. He's accurate, quick release. Skating's really good, powerful. I don't know if you got to talk to him, but he's got a thick body on him. Plays inside, and I believe he's got 1 year left on his KHL contract. And And then Misiak played in the World Juniors with Slovakia as well, and then he came over to Youngstown in the USHL, bumped around from the center wing, and ultimately ended up on the top line as a center, and they won the Cotton Cup in the USHL. Big 6'2", skates, initiates contact, in on board battles, almost type like a Brandon Saad type player, big body wall player. Unknown what he will do next year. He can go back to Youngstown. There's also some CHL teams that are trying to get him up to the CHL. Nick Lardis was originally in Peterborough this year. He was traded to Hamilton as part of, I forget who the exact players were that went over. And when he got there, he just flourished. He had 38 goals in the OHL, which is hard to do. Most of those goals came with Hamilton. Played for Canada with the U18s this past April in Switzerland. He can fly. Like he meets our speed element, but he also has that scoring attribute. Yuri Felchman, 6'4" center. Again, played for Czech in Switzerland at the U18s. Really improved this year. Those guys, it's 16, 17 being 6'4", they're kind of gangly and Bambi-ish, and for him, everything really came together for him this year. And he projects as a bottom six center, but he gives us size and hockey IQ down the middle. Alex Ferran, I believe, was traded twice in the same day. Last year, he went from originally he was a 6 overall pick, but he was traded for like Othman, and then he was traded to somewhere else and ended up in Sudbury. Projects as a winger, big winger. He fought the CHL prospect game, fought Kalen Lind, so he's got that fighting ability. Very competitive himself for his teammates, but he's a really good skater too. Played for Canada with the U18s. Marcel, we spoke about, so I won't go into detail with him. And Milton Oscarson played in Orebro, played on the same team as Leo Carlson, so we saw him a lot. He also played for Sweden in the World Junior Tournament. Projects bottom six, penalty killer, solid skater, but he's 6'6", 200 and something pounds, and he takes up a lot of ice. He's very good at IQ, probably more penalty kill than anything, but he's very responsible defensively. And then Peltonen, I'm going to tell you guys again, like I did last year with Dohila, I've never seen him play. But Mikko Luoma, he's got a thing with Finnish guys. He knows it pretty well, and Peltonen's a 6'3" left shot defenseman that can skate. Is practicing in the Liga right now with Carpet. Probably play up and down between junior and the Liga. But he's he meets our traits of skating, good size at 6'3", and competitive.
That is Blackhawks Director of Amateur Scouting, Mike Donahue, after the draft today. I just liked his top of his head. He's got no notes in front of him. Here's a draft class.
Well, he had to make sure he had the list, right? But he knew all the checkpoints that he needed to hit on those guys. And I think what we heard from Kyle Davidson about the draft class, and what we heard from Mike Donahue about the draft class multiple times in their post-draft media availability, was the fact that this player meets our traits. This player meets our traits. And when we talked with Donahue earlier this month, before the draft and everything, he laid out what they want. The skating, obviously, first and foremost. But then the character, the compete level, all those different things. And the Blackhawks came in with their list. We came in with our list, and their list, their list differed. But like we talked about last night, I feel like I completely trust Davidson and Donahue and the whole group with this class, because last year's class went really well, and I think this year there's a lot of good outside of Connor Bedard. There's a lot of good players in this class.
And Davidson said it, and I know probably every GM says this at the end of the draft. It's like, oh, we got all the guys we were targeting.
Yeah.
But he specifically said, Gajan and Kantsarov. I try to not say Kantsarov, and Misiak were like three guys that he wanted and got them. Mm-hmm. And same deal yesterday with Oliver Moore.
Yeah.
He's like, I kept trying to trade up to get Oliver Moore and trade up, and then all of a sudden I can't, and he's still there.
Yeah.
Boom, it's great. And there was a quote from him today where he said, I'm going to leave Nashville feeling very happy.
Yeah.
And you get the overall impression that this staff is very satisfied with how this whole thing went. Of course, when you get Connor Bedard, it's easy to feel that way, right? Mm-hmm. But and you're right. Like a lot of these guys weren't on our radar, but you have to realize, you can go through Corey Proman and Scott Wheeler and Chris Peters and Cam Robinson and everybody's lists. You're picking from a pool of hundreds and hundreds of guys.
Right.
So the space between like 10, 15 spots, it's really not that vast, right? It's just a matter of opinion. It's a matter of how many games these guys were able to watch. And let's be honest, like these are all American prospect experts or Canadian prospect experts. They only have access to so much footage and game access, you know what I mean? Whereas NHL scouts can get anything they want at any time. So am I fully educated on this draft class? No. But has this crew earned my trust? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if they think these are the guys, cool. And if they're not, they're going to have to face the consequences of it in 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah. One of the things that entertains me the most during any draft, any sport, is like the instant, like people screaming about 5th or 6th round prospects. Like, I'm sorry, I will trust Kyle Davidson and Mike Donaghy's opinion over Bob 9678223 on Twitter.
He's pretty good.
Like you're getting upset about guys that you just learned about 2 minutes ago.
Right.
Like, and I know, listen, not all, I get it. There's a lot of very educated people on Twitter about prospects and stuff, but I will trust. So far, I've had no reason to distrust this staff. And that they're making the correct moves. They're getting guys that they've identified fit what they're trying to build. There were some guys I wanted. Jaden Perron was a guy that we kept. He was there multiple times.
Me too. Oscar Fisker-Molgaard was there a couple times when they picked.
We like him.
Yep.
But the guys that are constructing this roster, knowing what they have and how they want to play, and they've got all these matrices they're looking at, those guys obviously didn't fit.
Yeah.
They had ideas for other guys that fit better to what they want to do and let them cook.
Yeah.
I just want to say Mike Donaghy has become one of my favorite guys.
He's awesome.
in the entire Blackhawks organization. He's just got that wry sense of humor. He's got that swagger and confidence of a guy that's like, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I know what I'm doing.
Just let it play out. Like, he's clearly not one of these guys that believes every player has to be 6'2" or bigger.
Right.
He said it today. He was like, we got some guys with size, so that should make you guys happy. He said last night.
Basically said that to Phil Thompson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, first he was like, yeah, we got some guys with some skill. We got some guys with some size. We got a guy with one name. He's up there doing stand-up. But when you draft Connor Bedard, you can be, have that. But
I just get the vibe from both of them, Davidson and Donaghy, is like, they're both so relaxed, and that relaxation is a result of preparedness.
Yeah,
they know they've got their ducks in a row. And yesterday, before the draft, Kyle from Chicago's walking down Broadway with his hat on backwards. Some guy went, saw me. Cool, this is funny. Like, I'd be on pins and needles hours before a franchise-altering draft. He's just taking a walk, and somebody walks up to me. No. What? He who shall not be named would have been, no. I don't have time for that. And most GMs in hockey would do that. Kyle Davidson's like, yeah, let's go. Like, and they picked Marcel, and they showed him kind of laughing at the reaction to the name on a scoreboard. These guys, their calm gives me confidence.
Yeah.
And their confidence gives me confidence.
Yeah.
At no point do I look at those guys and say, they don't know what they're doing. They don't have a plan. I have felt that way about Blackhawks drafts for a long time. Even when they were good, you're like, what is this? Like, where's this coming from?
We'll go back to last year. Last year, we were all like, you got to get forwards. We have enough defensemen. And they go out and draft 2 defensemen in the first round because they knew last year's draft was much better for defensemen. And this year's draft was all about the forwards. So they said, screw it. We're going to wait till next year to get those dynamic forwards because there will be no, it's better to get these defensemen now, even though we don't need them. You always need defensemen.
Well, they made 9 of 11 picks in last year's draft class were forwards. 9 of 11 picks this year, forwards. Again.
Right. I mean, they ended up drafting a ton of forwards last year, but we all wanted 7 to be a forward.
Right.
We all wanted all those first-round picks to be forwards, and they go out and get Korchinski and Renzel because they knew they weren't going to find any defenseman of that talent this year.
Yeah.
And you need to keep bringing an influx. And this year, what did we say leading up to the draft? After Connor Bedard, go get some size.
Yeah.
They got a guy that's 6'4", 240 pounds.
That was not a typo.
No,
I saw
He gained 30 pounds since Elite Prospect wrote up his report.
His bio.
That guy's going to crack the ice underneath him.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
Good for him. Man. Automatically my guy.
And the one thing that, like, these guys after the second, third round, I'll admit to you, I don't know a whole lot about them. I had to read up on them on the fly.
Yeah.
But hearing Mysiak get compared to Brendan Saad, that, like, perked up my ears at that press conference. Like, oh, okay, because that's the exact kind of player you want with guys like Connor Bedard and Frank Neza. You want a bigger power forward that can do the dirty work and clear space for your smaller dynamic players. But Mike Donnie does not care how tall you are.
No.
If you can play, you can play.
Well,
He said there are other ways to get size when you need it besides the draft. You can't draft an entire draft class of 6'2" guys.
Unless you're the Coyotes.
Right.
Well, they drafted all the goalies. Apparently, they're going to dress 6 goalies every night next year.
Well, and that's the case with Roman Kantsarov, is that, like, they were so enamored with his offensive ability, his shot at the Russian junior level. He was one of the top goal scorers in that league, and was able to have, like, a really good interview with them. So, and he's all of 5'9", 170, 180 pounds. But as we talked with Donnie, he said, yeah, he's 5'9", but if you look at him, you see him, he's wide, he's a thick build.
That's
like
Bedard.
That's Bedard. That's
Tyler
that's the
Johnson.
same with Bedard.
You can be 5'9" and a bowling ball.
Yeah.
Not every 5'9" guy is a waif. You just get pushed around.
A guy who was mentioned today because he's Marcel's teammate is Sam Savoy, and he's also not really big, but what does he do best? Play physical. Play aggressive. Like, you don't need to be 6'3" to be a physical player.
Listen, the biggest pain in the ass that I've ever watched play hockey was 5'6" Theo Fleury.
Mm-hmm.
Not only would he piss you off, make you take bad penalties, and then he's going to score 3 on you.
Yeah.
And then give you the finger as he skates away. Like, it's like we said last night, it's a mindset. It is a willingness to compete. We mentioned last night, Andrew Shaw, Brad Marchand, none of these guys are big. Sidney Crosby isn't necessarily very big. Patrick Kane, small.
Yeah.
Was he good? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, it's becoming less and less relevant. It's not 2001 where you got Darian Hatcher and Eric Lindros and all those guys out there, those big lumbering, they were all great players, don't get me wrong. But it's a different era, and skill is taken over for speed. All right, we want to know what you think of the draft. Vote in our YouTube poll right now. How would you grade day 2 for the draft for the Blackhawks? Again, just today, not talking about yesterday with Oliver Moore and Connor Bedard. We want to know how, in your mind, they did today at the draft. So let us know A, B, C, D, or F. Do that in the YouTube poll. And while you're on the YouTube poll, smash that like button for us. We would greatly appreciate that. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page as well. And follow us on your preferred podcast apps. The excitement and the adrenaline of the draft has got me off my regular show intro game. I keep forgetting to mention the like button and everything.
So it's just so exciting.
Yeah.
This week has been such an awesome week. And, we knew the number 1 pick, who it was going to be. And everything beyond that was just that's where it became, it just started to open up. So it was a lot of fun. And celebrating this week and celebrating this number 1 pick, go out to CHGOLocker.com. Get yourself the brand new number 1 pick, Future of the League shirt from us here at CHGO. The first of many designs centered around the player that will wear number 98 for the Chicago Blackhawks. Again, CHGOLocker.com. Go get that shirt if you're a diehard or you want to become a diehard. If you become a diehard, that shirt can be your free shirt upon sign up. If you already are a diehard, you'll save 20% on that shirt as well. So yeah, go out, get it. I want as many Bedard jerseys as we're going to see in Chicago this year at Hawks games. I want to see just as many future of the league shirts out there with the CHGO moniker on it.
Yep, absolutely. And if anyone can hear this little whistling in the background,
someone's doing a little
laundry.
One
of our colleagues at PHNX or DNVR is doing laundry and the dryer's done. So it sings a little tune. It sings a little tune when it's done.
It's okay.
It's all good.
No problem.
It reminded us to plug the shirt.
Yeah.
Laundry's done. Let's talk about the shirt. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Anyway.
Steven, we got some super
some
chats.
Yeah,
super
let's get
chats,
some
yeah.
super chats in there.
Alton V starting it off. He said, huge shout-outs to CHGO for their great coverage of the draft. The Bedard era has finally begun. Let's fucking go.
Let's do
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
exactly.
Thank you.
Shout out Alton V. Yeah, we said it last night. It's because of the people like Alton V and our diehards and our CHGO community. That's why we're here. And I think we knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, killed it. You got another one?
Yeah, another one from McLovin here. St. Perry will be a great addition. Don't lie.
St. Perry.
More on that.
More on that later.
We'll get to Corey Perry.
Yeah.
That's going to be
It's my fault, guys.
second half of the show. Yeah, exactly. Just updating the web poll real quick, by the way. How would you grade day 2 of the draft for the Blackhawks? 37% say an A, 54% say a B, 8% say a C, and 0% say D or F.
That's
So
where
there
I
you
would
go.
put it. I would say B is pretty good.
I feel like
because I only say B because I really don't know a lot about some of these guys. I think the early round picks that they got today, were not guys that were like on my radar.
Mm-hmm.
But as I learn more about them, hear Mike Donahue talk about him, hear Kyle Davidson talk about him, I'm like, I could see it. I can see why they went for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have no problems with the guys that they picked.
well, there's a few we do know a little bit about. So why don't we spend some time just kind of going guy by guy here?
Sure.
Adam Gajan, the goaltender, was down there when he met the media, and big anti-Ranta vibes. Just a smiley, gregarious, like so excited to be drafted. And you may remember him from the video highlight of Connor Bedard undressing an entire defensive unit and scoring. Yep, that was Adam Gajan. A goal for that one.
Well, he was literally left hung out to dry on that.
Yeah.
But the good news is he's only going to have to worry about facing that in practice,
Yes.
not in a game situation. So
Yeah, so bigger guy, but more of the, I'm not making a comp here, but the Dominic Hasek style of the acrobatic
Athletic.
saves, not your Corey Crawford, positionally sound kind of guy, but a guy who's going to make wild and crazy diving split saves, things like that, which is very entertaining.
flexibility is a word that comes up in a lot of his scouting reports. Flexible, athletic. That's why they went for him. That was what appealed to him. And
When Bedard scores on him, he's in a full split, which is impressive.
Yeah, I mean he went fully into his flexibility and athleticism to try and stop him.
I want to give him a shout out because he played in the North American League this past season. I spent 2 years scouting in the North American League. North American League produced a lot of goaltending. Connor Hellebuyck played there. Ben Bishop, Craig Anderson, Alex Stalock. It's produced a lot of goalies because goalies, as we all know, take longer to get where they need to go. And he's going to go back, I believe. Or no, he's going to go
going to
USHL.
Green Bay,
And then
Minnesota.
the following season, Minnesota Duluth. So
Yeah.
he's not.
Yeah,
Some people may be like, "Oh, they're giving up on Camezo or Soderblom already." No, this is
a project.
5-6 years down the road.
Soderblom and Camezo are in their early 20s, 23, 22. This kid's 18. Like there's space. There's runway for him to develop. This isn't a white waving the white flag on anything. This is just making sure that hey, it's better to have 3 really good goalies and have your pick of what you want to do with them.
Right, figure it out.
Than not have any choices.
That's what Donahue said today too. He says, "You know what? We're going to let the players decide who's making the NHL and not. We're just going to draft as many of the best players as we can, and then they can tell us who's playing and where. And if you know what, you can never have too much goaltending. We've said it leading up to the draft. Draft a goalie every year. Didn't know I wanted to draft one this high up.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
But if that's your guy,
but a
get
good one to get. Yeah.
If that's your guy,
first goalie taken.
take him. Yep.
So if you search Adam Gajan on Twitter and go to like the little video tab, you'll see 2 highlights. You'll see the Bedard goal, and then you'll see him from perspective of behind the net. Game is about to end. He's in goal for Chippewa, and the last second there's a shot. I can't do it or I'll get a leg cramp. But he stretches out his leg and then kicks his heel up, his right heel up.
Like a scorpion save.
And the puck hits literally the back inch of his skate blade and stays out. So you'll see some of the acrobatic moves on display on either of those highlights. One, Connor Bedard scores on him. The other, he makes a desperation save, and it's beautiful. It just but again, 6'3", 180, so unlike Camezo, a big dude,
good size,
takes up a lot of net. More of that, at least in terms of size, more traditional goalie size. but just seemed like a great kid. I think it was him who said, and I don't want to say it wrong, so I'll double check and clarify next show, but I think he was the one that said, I know I wanted to play in college. I didn't care which college it was. He's like, I didn't give much thought to which school it was. I just knew that my path was the NCAA. I think it was him that said that.
That's good. That's good.
So yeah, he's like, yeah, I don't, whatever. Yeah, sure. Minnesota Duluth. Sounds good.
Let me go to one of the best programs. Sure.
Yeah. Next up on the list at 44, Roman Kantsarov, the Russian winger, 5'9", 176. Talked about him a lot. You heard Donnie talk about him a lot. Thoughts on that?
I like it. I like it. It seems to be one of those high reward types of swings, and like we've said, the way yesterday panned out, the leash you had to maybe take a swing on a guy, if you really believe in him, go for it. So it sounded like the Blackhawks really believed in Kantsarov. So I'm fine with it, and yeah, I mean he's. They said he has one more year on his KHL contract. So maybe he's a guy that the KHL contract ends after next season and he comes to Rockford.
Yeah, that wouldn't hurt him at all. Yeah, and I was kind of middle of the road, didn't have an opinion one way or the other when the pick was made. But after hearing Kyle Davidson and Mike Donahue talked about it and then doing a little research before that, Davidson says, a top 6 quality shot.
Mm-hmm.
And a great personality. Apparently, they had a meeting with him earlier this week, and he blew them. He impressed them. And again, that is another important factor for this staff: is high character, good personality. Are we going to be able to plug him in a locker room and he's going to meld right away? And it seems that that's the case here. So if you like him, again, is it earlier than he was projected to go? Yeah. But if that's your guy, that's your guy.
Yep.
Take him.
Yep.
Like, it doesn't matter if he's good and he hits the NHL and he's productive. Who cares where you took him?
Mm-hmm.
Little scouting report here from Elite Prospects Draft Guide. It says it took a little while for Kantsarov to find his place on our board, with many spirited tilts among our scouting staff, leaving his draft stock hanging in the balance. In some games, he looked mostly like a straight line winger. He used his quickness in the MHL to outrace the opposition on the wing and create his scoring chances. Again, speed. While Kantsarov's skating may rank significantly above average at his level, his pace and skill advantage will diminish as he rises up hockey's professional ranks. As the season wore on, Kantsarov took full command of the ice, thriving in his team's give-and-go-oriented system. He started to look like a high-level playmaker who could orchestrate both rush and offensive zone scoring chances with a combination of clever skating patterns and puck movements. That is Roman Kantsarov.
Them taking Kantsarov tells me that they would roll the dice on Bradley Nadeau if he was still there at 35.
Mm-hmm. It sounds very similar.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he was taken
first round
by the Hurricanes, and that was a guy I would have loved to seen thrown in the mix. So that tells me they wouldn't have shied away from him if he was there to start the second round.
Next up for the Hawks was Martin Misiak at 55. He has played the USHL Youngstown, one of the many, many, many Youngstown fans.
Hey,
Youngstown was the buzzword today.
Yes, it was. They took over for the Chicago Steel of being the USHL team.
Win a Clark Cup and have a lot of draft picks on day 2.
Yeah, everybody loves winners.
Yeah.
Yep. So he is now seeing him in person. He's 6'2", 198. He seems smaller to me.
Interesting.
I don't know. He just had like a,
maybe he was wearing flats.
Yeah, could be, or maybe no shoes at all. But he had in not huge numbers. Youngstown Phantoms. He had 17 points in 27 games, which is pretty good. Slovakia under 20, just 3 games, and then in HC Nova Zamki in Slovakia, 10 points in 29 games, which is you can't.
I mean that's playing against men in Slovakia.
The European stats don't translate to NHL. They're just totally
it's different.
When you're a kid, you're playing literally 3 to 4 minutes a night.
Yeah. Well, and the big takeaway I get on Misiak is, well, 2 of them really, but you can touch on the second one. The big takeaway I take on him is from Mike Donahue, and he said, he took some time to find his place with Youngstown, but when he did, he was their top line center. So top line center that helps a team win the Clark Cup. Sure.
And he thrived when the playoffs began.
Mm-hmm.
And Elite Prospects here also says that playoffs suit him. his game is more suited to playoff hockey.
Cool.
Cool, sign me up.
Sure.
Right?
Let's hope to see it soon.
That's why you got that comp of Brandon Saad.
And here's another little note. The Slovak center plays with a high level of energy on the defensive side of the puck. He hunts attackers through the neutral zone, attaches himself to them in the defensive zone, and rarely lets go.
I like it.
Yeah. And then I think the last one we feel like we have a really good, not really good, but a decent grasp on is Nick Lardis, who was ranked 33 by Elite Prospects. The Hawks get him at 67. So that's great value. Really good shooter, really good skater, really high energy. Checks every box the Hawks like in a player.
Our buddy Cam Robinson was high on him when we had him on last week. When we asked him who are the guys that have been rising or falling, and Nick Lardis was the first guy he says as a riser, and was really enthusiastic talking about him. And yeah, I mean, a lot of people say that's a great pick. I got down to the pod as he was just getting there, and I was like, that is a child.
Yes,
like,
he is a child.
He hasn't shaved yet. Like that was out of all the prospects the Blackhawks took, that was the first time I was like, that is a small child.
Yeah.
That is a boy.
Yeah.
But it's going to be years before we have to worry about, that here in Chicago. But I like the pick. Again, fits that mold. Like if you're confused on what type of team Kyle Davidson's trying to build, you're not paying attention.
Yeah, look at the last two drafts. Like a lot of players that are all very similar profiles. Like really good skater, really good, no character issues, no red flags, no taking a flyer on somebody who's fallen in the draft because they have any issues or anything like that. Competitive. If you're compromising on anything, you're compromising because of the high end skill. And most of those draft picks in the last 2 years, you're not compromising things. They're checking almost all of the boxes. So, yeah, it's very clear what the blueprint has been through the draft.
Of the rest of the guys on the list, anyone stand out to you aside from Marcel because of his awesome name? That seems interesting. I was looking at the Milton Oscarson highlights.
Yeah,
huge. I mean, truly stands out on the ice.
He's 6'6", right?
Yeah. He was a teammate of Leo Carlsson. And there's a highlight I tweeted from, I think, CHGO Blackhawks. It all runs together. I'm sorry. And he scores and just like puts his arms out and his little teammates come in like little children. It's like he is a giant dude.
Yeah.
Quick release. I mean, it's one highlight, but anytime you see a guy that big, it's intriguing.
Yeah, and you want to make sure that they can move well. And I think that shouldn't be a huge concern for him as he develops.
Imagine a line with him and who was the 6'10" kid we drafted from Finland last year?
Oh, the one that had never been to a big city.
Oh, the naive one.
Riku Tohila.
Yeah, Tohila. That's the guy.
That's the naive Finn boy.
So imagine a line with those two guys.
Another Donahue.
And maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's real naive.
Maybe throw Tage Harding out there too.
Sure, yeah.
So,
6'7".
Yeah, they're definitely looking to fill the niches. Those bottom guys, get back to me next week. I'll let you know if anybody sticks out. I'm not going to pretend I know much on any of those guys. I just wanted to point before we get to our we're behind on our reads.
Yeah.
But our buddy Chris Dubiel points out as far as, rankings and stuff. Key to remember, as great as the Elite Prospects Draft Guide is, all these teams are doing their own scouting and internal rankings. Lots of varying opinions from scouts and execs. That's true. Yeah. All these big lists, Pronman, Wheeler, our buddy Chris Peete, all these guys, they're just basing on overall talent. And just because you're maybe the fourth best player in this class, you could be like 150th as far as what it fits your team.
This is gonna bug me now. Who was picked 6th
in the draft this year?
The draft this year.
Colorado.
Arizona.
It went
Reinbacher. Oh, Simasev. Yeah. He was in one ranking I saw. They had him 167th, and I mean, we talked with Cam, and he couldn't stop raving about him.
He almost took his bandana off to towel off.
Yeah. It's just.
Is that thing even removable?
It's like Brett Michaels. It doesn't that come off. His whole head comes off if you take that off.
It's his thing. But yeah, I mean, so it's just where different people see it, where different scouts see it, where different teams see it. It's all based on what they need and who's in the room. If Mike Donahue was in the room with Arizona, I think there'd be some interesting conversations about players with size or without size.
Right.
So yeah, it's the breakdown is it's all over the place.
Well, we were talking to our buddy Petey from PHNX before going on the air, and he said that the average draft pick by the Coyotes was 6'2". They also drafted 3 goaltenders.
Yeah, and one of them is 6'7".
And apparently, based on their drafts the last couple of years, they're relocating to Moscow. But everybody's got a type, and the Blackhawks crew scouting department, they have their types, and we're seeing it. Last year we're seeing it again this year, and we'll see it again. Another. We'll get to that draft pick stat, but let's.
Let's catch up.
Let's tell folks.
Let's talk about college for a second.
How you could be just like Jay.
Yeah, first way to be like me is smash that like button for us. We'd appreciate that. But I want to tell you about my alma mater, Lewis University. And students just like you with full-time jobs, families, and full-time locations can go back to school to earn a respected degree at Lewis University. It's 35 miles southwest of Chicago in Romeoville and is ranked as one of U.S. News and World Report's top-tier colleges. Lewis partners with numerous employers for tuition discounts and offers evening, online, and blended formats to help you balance work, family, and education. Their faculty, as I once was, brings real-world experience and instruction to the classroom, which is immediately relevant to your career. Lewis offers career support and academic resources for all students. If you're looking to complete your bachelor's or master's degree or enroll in a professional certificate program, Lewis has the right program for you. They offer several career-focused programs that will set you up for success. We're going to highlight one of them here. How about cybersecurity? Me and Greg, when we were waiting to pick you guys up, we're talking about times our credit cards got stolen. Because I drove by Puckett's in Nashville. I said, when I was in there, my credit card got stolen. Lewis is a Department of Homeland Security Center of Academic Excellence in Cybersecurity, providing students with scholarship funding not available anywhere else. Adult undergrads, you got computer science, aviation maintenance technology certificates, business analytics, criminal justice, business programs, technology programs, and radio and TV broadcasting.
Hey, there you go.
There you go. Discover how a degree from Lewis can help you build a better world. Learn more at lewisu.edu/you-can-do-this.
Yep. You want to go 1 or 2? We didn't decide this before the show.
Hey, the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is committed to helping families and businesses in the communities they serve manage energy usage and lower energy bills now and into the future.
That's right. I'm glad you mentioned that. ComEd offers a wide variety of incentives on lighting and other efficiency upgrades to commercial, industrial, and public sector customers of all sizes across the territory. ComEd offers free facility assessments that can help find energy-saving opportunities like for HVAC systems, commercial equipment, kitchen equipment, or industrial processes.
How does that work?
How does it work?
I want to play too.
Whoa.
Whoa. Joe Anderson's here, everybody.
Yes, Jay and Mario, an authorized engineer will work with you to develop a detailed assessment plan specific to your goals and needs. These can be done in person or virtually and last approximately 2 hours. Then about 3 to 4 weeks later, Jay and Mario, you're going to receive a report detailing energy efficiency projects that Jay and Mario can start working on immediately. Each recommendation will include estimated energy savings, cost savings, project cost, potential incentives, and simple payback. If you own a business, Jay and Mario, don't wait. Get started saving money and energy today. The Monergy. Gotta have the Monergy for energy saving tips and lighting incentives, or to schedule your free facility assessment. Go to comed.com/poweringbiz as soon as this show is over.
Did you say comed.com/poweringbiz?
Yeah, did you say comed.com/poweringbiz?
BIZ. Schedule today, Jay and Mario.
I will do that.
I'm doing it right now.
Later.
Give me a minute. All right, let's get to the NHL news from the Blackhawks angle. The day began as right before roll call started from Bill Daly.
We were loading our plates with the breakfast buffet.
Yes, we were. And the Hawks made a trade. They traded, I've lost the details already. They
future
considerations for Josh Bailey and a 2026 second-round pick.
Yeah, and we were all ecstatic. We were like, hey, what a great move. You get a future second-round pick. You get a guy who can jump right into your lineup. And now, Bailey was on a 1 year, $5 million deal. We're like, they're basically at the floor now. And they just got to get Bedard and Kurashev. Like, cool, we're set. Let's go. And then about 30 minutes later, never mind.
It was fun. It was fun. The Josh Bailey era of Chicago Blackhawks hockey was a roller coaster, and it was 26 minutes I will never forget.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we hear from Kyle Davidson on why he opted to buy out and let Josh Bailey become an unrestricted free agent.
Yeah, right now the only qualifying offer we sent out is on Phil. Well, we've got a couple of days left, but chances are that will be the only one.
That's the wrong one. We'll find the right one. What's that? Oh, well, modern technology, it must have gotten stuck in the Slack universe. Basically said that he didn't think that Josh Bailey would have a full-time role in Chicago. And rather than be somewhere where he'd be in and out of the lineup, he wanted to give him, out of respect, the freedom to explore the free agent market and find a good fit for him. Which, maybe as a Hawks fan, you're like, what? Like, that sucks. So now you're just, taking on money? Well, no, you got a second-round pick.
Yep.
And
future second-round pick.
Yeah, you take one of your buyout slots and... And those sort of things too, they can go a long way around the league when players see other players being treated well.
Yeah.
Instead of, oh, you're going to trade nothing for me and now you're just going to sit me and I'm going to rot away. No, this is a good thing for Kyle Davidson to do. So in terms of, player treatment.
And as we've said many times, do not fret over the salary cap this year, next year. Like it's not that the buyout penalty or whatever that carries over into the next season is not going to affect anything.
It's a $2.67 million hit this year and a $1.67 million hit next year.
That is not going to.
That's nothing.
It's not going to deter you to do anything you want to do, and then it's gone. There was a little confusion on Twitter that I saw in some replies. The buyout and the retentions are completely different things. There was some people that say, "Oh, now
salary cap retention." Yeah,
it's like you only have so many slots for retention. You still have one on McCabe. These are totally different things. Doesn't affect that buyouts and salary cap retentions. Two different categories. So
the penalty for the Hawks for Josh Bailey this year 2.666667, and for next year 1.66667.
Okay.
So that's sixes.
Yeah, it's just it's pocket change.
It's nothing. It's nothing that you're going to fret over.
Nope, it shouldn't worry anybody. And you get a second round pick to take that cap. And speaking of that, this is how you do a rebuild, masterclass rebuild between last year's draft and as of now through 2026. And this is going to probably change again. Kyle Davidson will have 23 picks in the first and second round over 5 drafts.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you rebuild.
That's how you do it. That's how you do it. And people were saying, well, a 2026 second round pick. Davidson is on record saying that he does. There's no necessity to load up on picks in the immediate draft. He is thinking in a longer term plan. It's just like, yeah, it'd be great to have 7 picks this year in the first 2 rounds. But but then what? What if you miss on all 7 of them? The next year you have 1 and 1, maybe. So it's better to have 2 and 3, 2 and 2, 2 and 3, 1 and 3. Like,
keep reloading,
spread it out, like,
and you keep reloading. And then if in the perfect world, let's say Bedard, Nazar, Moore, Korchinski are all stars, and you have to make a call and say, like, well, we can't keep you, Frank Nazar. We just don't have the cap space. He's out. Now you've got another kid coming up to take that role and fill it in. And you look at the teams that have had sustained success in the NHL, like even the LA Kings, who had a couple really bad years, have suddenly hit on some draft picks that have elevated them back into the conversation. Yeah. Dallas is another one. You've got Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin, but then Jason Robertson and Miro Heiskanen and all these guys and Jake Ottinger all become studs. And it's like, all right, then you never really have that massive dip.
Look at Tampa. Tampa seems to always, can't afford this guy. Boom. Somebody else comes in.
Someone else is there.
Yeah, exactly. So then the other bit of news happened. The Blackhawks traded a 2024 7th round pick to the Tampa Bay Lightning in exchange for Corey Perry's negotiating rights. He becomes a UFA on Saturday. Numerous reports, including Kyle Davidson, say we've been negotiating. We're trying to get a deal done.
Yeah.
I think we have the audio of his justification and acknowledgement that Corey Perry is not super beloved in Chicago.
Yeah, he can become UFA in a couple days. We're going to try and get him signed. Had some initial discussions today, but we'll see where that goes in the next day or two. But I think what he can bring, again, similar to Nick Foligno, amazing veteran presence, been in the league quite some time, knows what it takes to win, knows how to be a great professional, and then also has some background and some history with our head coach, where Luke was with him in Montreal and saw how he worked with some of their young players, and he really appreciated that, saw a great benefit in what Corey did, and so we're going to try and extract some of that benefit as well.
Also, one of the most hated people among Blackhawks fandom. Are you trying to squander all this goodwill you built up?
It's probably a guy you hate to play against, you love to have on your team, so that's how we hope it'll play out.
I think every Blackhawks fan had the same reaction when they saw the Corey Perry news. And the three of us were like, what?
Whoops.
Like, oh, all right, this is going to be interesting to discuss.
I got exactly what I wanted, though.
Yes, you
If
did.
you watched last
predicted
week
it,
Friday's
yeah.
show, I am going to pat myself on the back. I'm the one that said, go get Taylor Hall. And then I just said, hey, what about, I wanted to see the reaction alone about going out and getting Corey Perry.
Well, you got it.
And then they went out and did it. And I don't hate it. I don't hate hearing what he said about Luke Richardson.
That's it.
I don't hate it. If Luke Richardson trusts a guy, I trust that guy. That also tells me that Kyle, again, as I said last night, you have your general manager and your head coach who are both starting at doing this for the first time in tow. They're working hand in hand. That tells me Kyle Davidson went to Luke Richardson. Okay, here's the guys that are going to be available. Give me the guys you want. And that was probably the first guy Luke Richardson pointed to, said, I want Corey Perry. I think he's great for a year, what we're doing. Went out and got him.
Yeah.
There's no, so you give up a 7th round. People are like, why are you giving up the 7th round pick? You know, when he's just going to be a UFA anyway. Well, that gives you the time to do it.
It's a 7th
It's a 7th round pick, but it also shows Corey Perry, hey, we really want you to sign here.
Yeah.
We gave something up to get you. And people worried about 7th round picks. Okay. And then, but okay, you get Corey Perry. He does good enough. Some contender may want him. You could flip him for a 4th or 5th round pick.
Absolutely.
So you've upgraded from a 7th to a 5th round pick.
They'll sign him for $3 million. Then they'll trade him for half salary retained at the deadline.
Yeah.
And some playoff team will add Corey Perry and be thrilled with it.
Blackhawk fans are going to like Corey Perry. The first time someone takes a run at Connor Bedard and he comes up from behind him and punches him in the back of the head or slashes his knees out from under him, he's going to be a hero.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to covering Corey Perry for a year.
He's exactly as Davidson said. Like he is the epitome of the player that you hate, that when you play against him, but you love him when you're on your when he's on your team. Just because he was a peen to the Blackhawks, you know, when he was on the Ducks and you know the many years of going up against him in Chicago, doesn't necessarily mean that he's exiled from ever playing in Chicago.
Somebody on Twitter said he has to kind of earn back the respect of the city. Like, no, he doesn't. He played like a dickhead against you. That was his job.
How long did it take Blackhawk fans to fall in love with Bob Probert? 3 shifts.
Yeah. How about Max Domi?
And he was far more hated in Chicago than Corey Perry ever was when Probert was on the Red Wings. And he became a legend. The fans, you still see Bob Probert jerseys in the United Center today. Speaking of jerseys, the only thing I want out of Corey Perry, he has to wear number 72.
I wonder if they'll give him.
Perry in
It's going to be
Chicago.
interesting. Are they going to give him 10?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know. Like they gave away 27 real quick, so I don't know if
I feel
I
like
don't think he's going to get it.
I feel like 10 is going to be one of those numbers that is saved for someone who's going to be here for a while.
Yeah. Like if Connor Bedard wanted 10.
They're not going to retire it, but they're also not going to just
give it to anybody.
It's not just going to go into the rotation.
Yeah. I'm just going to give it to Reed Simpson or Ty Jones.
So the other thing with the Perry now, and we got a quote, you know, and Khrushchev is the only, RFA we can play, but don't expect anything Saturday with free agency. Like Max Domi, not going to happen.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it.
JT Comfort, not going to happen. It was probably they reached out to him. They've been reading the market, and they figure they're going to command contracts that they're just not comfortable giving at this point at the rebuild.
Over and over, they're not interested in long-term deals.
Yeah.
They've said it over and over. And we thought maybe they'd make an exception for Domi, but now you get Taylor Hall.
If you have,
I know, it's
if
the
you
necessity goes.
If you have Corey Perry, what you're losing with Domi is, as far as feistiness, as far as getting under an opponent's skin, that characteristic, you get it back with Corey Perry.
Tenfold. It's even more than Max Domi ever did.
Yeah, and what you don't get with Corey Perry that you had with Max Domi is high-end production.
Well, now you
versatility.
But you got Taylor Hall.
But you have Taylor Hall, exactly. And I think with bringing in Perry, you have Taylor Hall, Nick Foligno, and Corey Perry coming into this locker room. And as far as talking about insulating the lineup with players to play with Bedard, check. You got veteran leadership, check. Like, I feel like this roster, as it's kind of coming together, and Corey Perry still has to officially be signed, yes, but it feels like that's going to happen. I feel like the way that they're constructing this roster, it's checking all the boxes of what you need to do to put a team around Connor Bedard in this situation. You're not going out and putting out a team around Connor Bedard, ending the rebuild and saying, we're going to go get everybody and we're going to be competitive immediately, and here we go. We're just going to, stray away from the plan. They're sticking with the plan because the plan is not Taylor Hall, Nick Foligno, and Corey Perry. The plan is making sure Connor Bedard is as good as he can freaking be. And so in his first year, this is a great way to kind of put it together and have those voices in the locker room that can carry a locker room, lead a locker room, but also allow for other guys to have a voice and be able to step in and what Kyle Davidson has said, like, grow organically as leaders.
Look, I get the point, and like I said, I trust Davidson. I did not love this move until I considered the Luke Richardson angle of it.
Yeah.
Because I think we all felt the same way about Max Domi. Like, Max Domi, really guy.
We did the same thing last summer. We were going through free agents. We were like, what about Max Domi? We all were like, no.
Oh, God, no. And then it happens, and all of a sudden he's a fan favorite, and everybody wants him back.
And now he's one of the most sought-after guys in this free agency class.
But the leadership thing, which we mentioned with Perry, and same thing Davidson did, Ben Pope kind of as a follow-up asked about, hey, look, you're bringing in Foligno and Hall and Perry and all these guys. You already had Kane and Taves. Why not just keep them around to lead this rebuild? And Kyle Davidson had a very concise and clear answer, as he has had on the same topic before.
Guys, we got a couple super chats. I know we just kind of...
Do we have that audio of the...
yeah. You want to hit that first?
Yeah,
my bad. I got you.
Then we will hit the super chats after.
Yeah.
On Kane, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's also, no offense to Corey Perry or Nick Foligno. They're not Jonathan Taves and Patrick Kane. I think Corey, was a very, very good player at his peak. But just having those club legends is a little bit different. There's still the opportunity with Nick and Corey, hopefully Corey, here on shorter term deals where there's runway to be those leaders and work alongside them rather than just have Jonathan and Patrick there, who would be the leaders, unquestioned, no doubt about it. And there would be somewhat of a roadblock there in terms of leadership development. So in my opinion, having good veterans on short term allows some of these guys that might be here longer to jump into those spaces and more so learn and use Nick and Corey as resources and as as help in kind of solidifying the culture in the locker room in the short term.
It's very clear. Anyone entering that locker room with 19 and 88 in it is going to defer to 19 and 88. He has said it over and over and over again. And if you're not listening or don't want to hear it, it's on you. He's explained it many times. You can disagree. Of course you can disagree with that. I think that it is perfectly logical, perfectly reasonable, and it makes all the sense in the world. And look, if I was Connor Bedard and I walked in there and those two guys were there, what? Mm-hmm. Oh, it's all you. Like, just let me do. Yes, sir. Whatever you say, sir. Yes, Perry and Foligno and all these guys have experience and all the credibility and all that stuff. but it's not those guys on the Blackhawks, right?
They're all also new.
If
They're
you
all
walked
walking in day one at the same time.
If you walked into the Bruins with Patrice Bergeron or the Sharks with Joe Thornton back in the day, any of these Steven Stamkos on the Lightning, any of these long-term captain leaders, it's different from bringing in veteran leaders as free agents. It's just different.
Yep. Now we have some super chats we need to get to.
Yeah, we got 2 from Brandon Sikora. First one.
Thank you, Brandon.
Any key UFAs we should look at? Anyone who could be a steal in this draft class? Which rookie defenseman could impact the 2023-2024 team?
UFAs sounds very Kyle Davidson sounds very confident that they are basically done.
The heavy lifting is over, is what he said, as far as roster construction. But I don't think he rules out anything. He kind of mentioned the other day maybe a veteran right-handed defenseman if there's one out there.
Sure.
Don't expect much, if anything, on Saturday.
Right-handed. Here, I'll give you the list of right-handed defensemen. Okay.
Let's listen.
John Klingberg, Matthew Dumba, Eric Johnson, Kevin Shattenkirk, Travis Hamonic, Radko Gudas, Justin Hull, Scott Mayfield, Troy Stetcher. Yeah, and now we're getting to Luke Shen is on there.
Sure.
Luke Shen's probably going back to Toronto.
Yeah.
If there's one of those guys you think you can get and flip,
I
don't want to.
If any of them want a cheap flippable 1-year deal, sure.
But I don't want to plug up another. That's the reason Caleb Jones isn't getting a qualifying offer.
Right.
Because Kyle Davidson doesn't want to plug up too many defensive spots. He wants the young rookies, and Brandon asked us about that. Like, I think Alex Vlasic and Isaac Phillips are the first 2 guys to get looks at the NHL level, and then after that, Wyatt Kaiser is probably the next guy. I think they want to treat Wyatt Kaiser this year exactly like they treated Alex Vlasic. Got him a few games last year at the end of the season, looked really good. Now go play a full season being one of the top guys in Rockford, and we'll call you up on a needed basis.
Yep.
I don't expect Ethan Del Mastro or Nolan Allen to play for the Blackhawks at all this year unless things go downhill real quick and you've got a rash of injuries, or maybe you give them that sniff at the end of the year as a reward. Like, hey, you've been busting your ass for the Ice Hogs. Come up and play 2 road games at the end of the year and go back to for the playoffs.
And Michael points out in the chat, you have Murphy, Jones, and Zaitsev on the right side already.
Yeah. There's not a lot of space.
When's the buyout window over?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow it's over.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like Zaitsev's going to get bought out.
He'd be bought out by now.
It would have. Yeah, it would have happened by now. And I think, defensively, we touched on it a little bit yesterday. It's starting to feel a little bit more like Kevin Korchinski has the opportunity to prove that he'll be an NHL, a full-time NHL player this year. So we'll see what happens with that. I mean, but yeah, I think the guys that you can definitely pin down are the 3 that you mentioned. Vlasic, Phillips, Kaiser. Those are going to be the guys that are going to be coming up pretty quickly here.
Right-handed defensemen have become the equivalent of 6'3" forwards.
Yeah,
it's nice to have them, but they're a luxury at times. And how many teams have guys playing on their offside?
Not a lot.
Not Ryan Suter. He won't do it.
But I know everybody stresses you got to have all these right-handed guys. You do need them, but I'm not stressed out about how many are on the roster next year. Not next year. Maybe for the future. You probably need a few younger guys. But
and the other question was steals of the draft. I think a steal of the draft. I think the Blackhawks got guys where they probably should have landed. I think the biggest one might be Nick Lardis. I think people expect him to go a little bit earlier than he did. So as far as steal potential, I don't think there's a lot, but I think Lardis kind of fits that mold.
I'm just going to say Marcel because I want to say Marcel.
He's definitely an elite name. So
we need to get a Marcel versus Ivan fight at some point.
Yeah.
Ivan.
That'd be
3
great.
3 Ivans and 2 Marcels. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a full
Is he going to have his first or last name on the jersey, though? That's the question.
Yes.
Both.
Exactly.
Put them both on.
Put them both on. I agree.
Why
100%.
not?
Yeah. Is that it for our Super Chats?
Yeah, that was the last one.
All right. Let's update the poll. We have about 340 votes so far. How would you grade day 2 of the draft for the Blackhawks? Again, today, not yesterday. 40% say A, 53% say B, 7% say C, and 0% D or F.
That sounds great.
And I want to point out, our negative pal, No Roids Just Rage, gave it like an A+++++, like Ralphie.
Oh
in his
yeah,
dream.
A plus.
Yes.
Plus.
So
plus.
even
Great.
Bill Royds is happy.
I would like to say
Man,
that we.
all that panic and angst.
Oh,
How about
man.
it?
What a waste of your energy, man. Dude, go for a walk next season the next time you get worried about it. Things will work out.
I'd like to think that we have done a good job of educating our CHGO Blackhawks community to understand the plan.
I think so.
And understand what's coming and what these draft classes mean. So
Well, and I hope like as Kyle Davidson and Luke Richardson have earned the trust.
absolutely.
That next year, as the year goes on, that our diehards and our people in the chat will learn to trust us. That we know a little bit what we're talking about too, and we're not just trying to sell you, seashells and balloons and all those things.
Yeah.
Like, we're there every day. We're there in the locker room every day. We're there at practice every day. We've got a good pulse on what's going on with the Hawks, and we're not going to steer you wrong. So it's been an incredible weekend. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. It's been awesome. Thanks to Steven and Casey, especially, who were by our side for the entire all 7 rounds of the draft, just grinding everybody. We had help back in Chicago with Lawrence and Jake and Joey Spath. It's like everybody teaming in.
Casey and Steven pumping out amazing graphics and content on the world's shittiest Wi-Fi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
right.
Well, I appreciate it, guys, but you and everyone from PHNX and DMVR
Yeah,
all made it
seriously.
really, really easy on us.
The all city team at this draft fucking killed it.
Yeah, and look, I hope PHNX and DNVR didn't have as much to do as we did this year. But hey, next year if we all go to Vegas and let's say Arizona gets the number 1 pick, we can all help them make it be everything.
When one
lifts
market
each other.
thrives, we all thrive.
It helps all of us. And honestly, there was zero of we're this market, so we got to do this, and you're this, and we're not. Everybody was together, and if we needed someone, I'll be there in a second to help out. It was just great, and I think we're still a startup here at All City, and it just. That energy that comes with being a startup is great, and it's irreplaceable. And when Brandon Spano put this lineup together, I think that's what he was going for. And when I look at what we accomplished this weekend, not just CHGO, but the other networks as well, it's incredible. Just go check out the PHNX Coyotes and DNVR Avalanche feeds and look at the stuff they did. It's different from what we did, but it's still great.
Yeah.
It's just like Leah talking to Craig Button.
Yeah.
Just pulling him to the side, like, hey, what do you think of the Coyotes so far? And he gives her, 4 or 5 minutes. It's just awesome. It's been awesome. It's been a super fun weekend. I think the 3 of us are ready to just kind of take a deep breath now. Our work is done.
Maybe a nap.
Yeah, we can kind of chill out and we need to eat.
Yeah.
Yes,
we do.
For as much time as we spend in Nashville, we have not eaten very much.
Yeah.
So we need to remedy that.
Yes.
Well, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, we maybe we can walk to where we're going because the weather definitely made that 100 degrees not so bad and kind of kept the sun away from us.
Well, you need this, good thing the sun was not out because I left my Shady Rays back here.
Yes, I did too.
I was going to say the future is very bright for All City and the Blackhawks. And the best thing for a bright future and a bright day is a pair of Shady Rays because they have you covered for the warm weather with their premium polarized shades at a very affordable price. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product just as good as any expensive pair we've ever worn, but they're better. Durable frames and extremely clear optics for your outdoor adventures. That's not all. Shady Rays is going to give you the most insane protection, all of things that go over your eyes. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day 1, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. With Shady Rays, you can wear your sunglasses with confidence because they have your back long after you purchase. And together with their customers, Shady Rays is making an impact throughout the United States, partnering with nonprofit partners through the Shady Rays Impact Program. They're doing everything from building play sets for pediatric cancer patients to providing young adults with MS the outdoor adventure of a lifetime. Shady Rays is making an impact in your community and others just like it now and for years to come. And if you don't love your Shady Rays, but you're going to, exchange for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. They always have your back. And exclusively for our CHGO listeners, the most beautiful podcast listeners on the planet, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use the promo code CHGO at checkout, and you're going to get 50% off all orders of 2 or more of their amazing sunglasses that have been rated 5 stars by over 250,000 customers. I feel so much better. We didn't have Shady Rays yesterday. I felt naked. It's my security blanket.
Hey, if you're feeling naked, you can get yourself some team-branded gear from our friends at FOCO. You can get you fitted out in the best sports gear around. They got hoodies, shoes, signs, bobbleheads, everything in between. Usually our CHGO studios are decked out in our FOCO memorabilia and collectibles. We didn't bubble wrap anything and bring it with us. Maybe the next trip we do, when we go to the draft in Vegas, maybe we'll bubble wrap a future number 98 bobblehead from FOCO and take it with us for good luck. It is spring. No, it is summer. Baseball season is in full swing, and you can get decked out in aloha shirts, straw hats, polos, bags, everything you need for the game. Go to foco.com. That's FOCO.com. Click the link in the description below on this show. And for all non-presale items, you're going to get 10% off when you use the promo code CHGO.
All right. Before we go, remember, CHGOLocker.com is the place to get the future of the game design, future of the league design.
Future of the league.
It is sweet. It is for sale now. CHGOLocker.com. Get excited about number 98. Go to CHGOLocker.com. And if you want to become a diehard, yep, that can be your free shirt. Be one of the first kids on your block with the future of the league design from CHGO Locker. All right, we're going to wrap things up. We are going to pack up. We are going to head back to Chicago because guess what happens tomorrow? More hockey.
More work.
Development camp begins. We are leaving early in the morning in Nashville and going literally directly to Fifth Third Arena to cover development camp for all of you. So,
yes,
because of that, please smash that like button for us. Let us know you appreciate what we're doing here and tell a damn friend because you know there are a lot of people now suddenly interested in the Hawks again.
Yeah, the interest is spiking.
Interesting.
No show tomorrow, although, but we will be live on Saturday for the opening of free agency.
Should be a lot of fun.
That's where we could talk about every other team signing guys.
Yes. Yeah.
They got to do one thing.
But there'll be media availability on Saturday, too. We're going to get to talk to Luke Richardson so we can ask him about Corey Perry and all that fun stuff. There'll be plenty of non-free agent content as well.
Absolutely. So join us then. We would greatly appreciate it. And please, please, please smash that like button on the way out. And we want to remind you that CHGO Blackhawks is presented by Goose Island, the official beer of CHGO. Find one of their Chicago locations at gooseisland.com/locations. For Greg and Mario and Steven and Casey and DNVR and PHNX, I'm Jay. Thanks for watching the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.